Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are so glad to have you here with us today. We're opening up a topic that I honestly think is going to resonate on a very visceral level with a huge portion of our listeners. It's about that specific agonizing friction that happens when you're trying to operate in a second language. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I do. It's a friction that almost everyone feels, but, very few people know how to actually grease the gears to fix it. It's that wall you hit.
Exactly. We are talking about the fluency gap.
Yeah.
And to set the stage properly here, I want everyone to picture a scenario. I want you to really put yourself there. You're in a conversation, maybe it's a casual chat at a coffee shop, or maybe it's a high-stakes meeting at work. Someone asks you a question, and the frustrating thing is you know the answer. Intellectually, you possess the information. You have the data.
The data is there. It's sitting right in your brain.
The data is there. But before you can get that data out of your mouth, your brain initiates this chaotic, silent scramble. It grabs the concept in your native language, it drags it down the hallway to the translation department, it looks for the equivalent words in English, it checks the grammar, it stamps the paperwork, and only then does it send it to your vocal cords.
And by the time that whole bureaucratic nightmare is finished, the rhythm of the conversation is broken. The moment is gone.
Gone. Totally gone. And what are you left with? You're left with that awkward silence. You're left with the, and worst of all, you're left with the crushing feeling that you are slower or less intelligent than you actually are.
That right there is the translation trap. And honestly, looking at the research we have today, specifically the methodology from Emma at Hey Lady, this isn't just an annoyance. It is the primary barrier to connection. It's what keeps people feeling like an imposter in their second language.
It's a panic response, isn't it?
Yeah.
The source material describes this cortisol spike that happens during that pause. It's a physical reaction.
It absolutely is. Because when you're translating, you aren't present. You're inside your own head, playing a matching game, while the other person is just, waiting. And the stress of that silence actually inhibits your memory, making it even harder to find the words. It's a vicious cycle. You panic, your brain shuts down a little, you translate slower, you panic more.
Right, and then the other person starts to look a little impatient, which just feeds the panic.
Exactly, it's a spiral.
So the mission for this deep dive is to break that cycle. We're looking at how to stop translating and start thinking in English. And we aren't just talking about getting better at English. We are talking about a fundamental shift in how the brain processes the language.
We are aiming for what the source calls that magical place.
The magical place. It sounds a bit fairy tale, doesn't it? But in this context, it is actually a very technical neurological state, right?
It is. It is. It's the state of direct association. It's where the concept, the idea of hungry or tired or strategy links directly to the English word without touching your native language. When you reach that state, the words are on the tip of your tongue. There's no pause. There's no translation lag. It is instantaneous.
And the key insight here, which I think is fascinating, is that thinking in the language is the only way to actually feel fluent. You can know every grammar rule in the textbook. You can have a massive vocabulary, but if you're still translating, you will always feel clunky.
Precisely. Fluency isn't about how many words you know. It's about the speed and directness of access to those words. It's about flow.
Okay, so we have a stack of actionable strategies to get through today. We're going to look at using podcasts, silent videos, and even just like narrating your walk to the kitchen. But before we get to the exercises, we have to lay the foundation. We need to talk about the environment. The source brings up this concept of immersion, which is a buzzword we hear constantly. Just immerse yourself.
Okay.
But Emma's take on this is a bit more specific than just, moving to London or New York, isn't it?
It is a lot more specific. Because physical relocation isn't always possible, and frankly, it isn't always effective if you don't engage correctly. You can live in London and still live in a bubble of your native language. The source describes immersion specifically as a diet.
I like that framing. It's consumption. It's what you're feeding your brain.
Exactly. It's the nutritional intake for your language brain. If your diet consists of, say, 90% your native language and only 5% English, you're malnourished. You cannot expect high performance. The recommendation here is to curate an environment where English is the default setting for your leisure and information.
So we're talking about switching your news sources. Instead of reading the news in your native language, you switch the app to the BBC or CNN.
That's the baseline, English-speaking news. But it extends to pleasure. Movies, TV shows, audiobooks. You have to surround yourself with the sounds of the language. And significantly, music. The source puts a heavy emphasis on music.
I noticed that. The source made a big point about singing lyrics. Why is that specific activity highlighted? I mean, why singing?
Well, singing is unique because it forces you to mimic the rhythm and prosody of the language, not just the vocabulary. When you learn lyrics, you aren't analyzing grammar, you're internalizing flow. You are hearing how the language lives in the wild. You're learning how words linked together.
It provides context. You aren't just learning a word in isolation on a flashcard.
Exactly. You aren't memorizing the word heartbreak from a flashcard. You are learning it in the context of a melody and an emotion. That makes the recall pathway so much stronger. Music sticks in the brain in a way that dry text simply doesn't.
But here is where the diet analogy shifts into something even more active. And this is my favorite part of the source material, the gym analogy.
This is the perfect illustration of the compound effect. It really, really drives the point home.
Walk us through this, because I think every single person listening has been the victim of the January gym syndrome. I know I have.
Right. Of course. So let's look at scenario A. This is how most adults approach language learning. They have a burst of motivation. Maybe it's a New Year's resolution. They book a 4-hour session with a tutor, or they study all Sunday afternoon. They go to the gym, they lift the heaviest weights they can find, and they leave feeling exhausted but accomplished.
I did it. I learned English today. I am a champion. Done for the month.
Exactly. But then life gets busy, work happens, kids happen, the motivation fades, and they don't touch English for 2 weeks.
And when they come back, what happens to the muscle?
They have atrophied. It isn't just that they haven't progressed, they have actually regressed. The first hour of that next study session isn't about learning new things. It is about repairing the decay of the skills they learned 2 weeks ago. It's just rebuilding.
They're treading water. You're
Yeah.
just fighting to get back to zero.
You are constantly in a state of repair rather than construction. It's demoralizing, and it's why people quit. They feel like they are working hard because those 4-hour sessions are hard, but they aren't seeing results because the gaps are too long. The muscle memory just fades.
That is such a depressing but very accurate image. So compare that to scenario B.
Consistency. The time rule in the source is very specific. 30 minutes. Every single day.
Just 30 minutes. That feels almost too easy, too good to be true.
That is all it takes, provided it is daily. 30 minutes a day is infinitely superior to a 5-hour binge once every 2 weeks. When you engage daily, you are keeping those neural pathways warm. You are building on yesterday's progress. The compound interest of that time is massive.
It's the difference between brushing your teeth for 2 minutes every day versus brushing them for an hour once a month. One works, the other. Well, the other is just painful and ineffective.
That is a vivid image, but yes, it's accurate. It's about maintenance and incremental growth. You can't binge watch your way to fluency on a Sunday if you ignore the language Monday through Saturday. Your brain needs that daily signal that says, hey, this information is important, keep it accessible.
So, okay, we have our diet of immersion and we have our gym schedule of consistency. But the source makes a pivot here. It says that immersion, just having the headphones on, isn't enough. We have to distinguish between passive and active learning.
This is the critical unlock for thinking in English. This is where most people get stuck.
Because I think a lot of people feel like, hey, I listen to English podcasts on my commute. I watch Netflix in English. Why am I not fluent yet? I'm putting in the hours.
And the answer is because you are only receiving. Passive listening is great for comprehension. It builds your understanding, but it is neurologically different from production. When you're just listening, your brain can be lazy. It can skip over words it doesn't know. It can rely on tone of voice to guess the meaning. It doesn't have to do the heavy lifting of construction.
It's the difference between watching someone build a house and actually picking up a hammer yourself.
Exactly. A perfect analogy. You can watch a master carpenter all day and understand what they're doing, but that doesn't mean you can replicate it. To think in English, you need to, as the source puts it, work a little bit harder. You need to move from being a spectator to being a player. You need to keep the grammatical structures super active in your mind so that when you need them, they are right there in the front of the toolbox, not buried under a pile of rusted junk in the back.
Super active. I love that term. It implies availability. It implies that the language is ready to launch.
It implies readiness. And that is why the 4 exercises we are about to discuss are designed the way they are. They are not passive. They are short most, fit into that 30-minute window, but they are high intensity. They force you to pick up the hammer. They force you to sweat a little bit.
All right, let's get to work. Let's break these down. Exercise number 1. This is called the podcast method. Now, we are doing a deep dive on a podcast right now, so this feels very meta. But this isn't just listen to a podcast, is it? It's not just pressing play and zoning out.
No, not at all. Listening is just one step of the process. This is a 4-step active workflow. It turns a podcast episode into a real study session.
And the setup requires a specific type of content. The source recommends short episodes, like the BBC's 6-Minute English. Why short? Why not a full hour-long show?
It's about cognitive load. If you try to do this exercise with a 3-hour interview, you'll die of exhaustion. Your brain will just fry. You need a tight, focused narrative, usually 6 to 10 minutes, so you can maintain 100% focus without your mind wandering. You need to be able to hold the whole context in your head at once.
Okay, so we have our 6-minute clip. Let's say it's on space exploration. Do we press play?
Absolutely not. This is where everyone makes the mistake. You have to do the pregame.
The pregame. Okay, this is a 60-second brainstorm. Tell us exactly what happens here.
You set a timer, 1 minute, no more, no less. You look at the title of the episode. Let's stick with your example, The Future of Space Exploration.
Okay, love it.
Great. So for 60 seconds, you grab a piece of paper and you write down every single word or idea that comes to your mind related to space exploration.
Okay, rocket, planet, Mars, astronaut, black hole, gravity, Elon Musk.
Right. You are dumping your current vocabulary onto the page. But there is a golden rule here. And if you break this rule, the entire exercise fails.
Lay it on us. What's the rule?
You do not translate.
This is the discipline part. This sounds hard.
It is incredibly difficult at first. You're staring at the paper. A word pops into your head in your native language. You know it. It's right there. You want to write it down. You absolutely cannot. If the English word doesn't come, you skip it. You move on. You only write down words that surface naturally in English.
Why is this restriction so important? Why can't I just write the native word and look it up later? It feels more efficient?
Because you are training the retrieval pathway. You are teaching your brain. I need to access the space file in my brain, and I need to pull out English data only. If you allow yourself to translate, you're just reinforcing the old, slow pathway. You are reinforcing the habit of going to the translation department. We're trying to pave a new road here, a direct road.
It's like clearing the weeds. If you don't use the path, it just grows over.
Yeah.
So, we have done our 60 seconds. We have a list of random English words. Now we listen.
Now comes step 2. They listen. And because it is only 6 minutes, the requirement is full focus. No multitasking, no washing dishes, no driving.
Yes.
You are listening specifically to hear if the words you brainstormed appear in the audio.
Oh, it's a matching game now. You're engaged because you're looking for validation. Did they say astronaut? Yes, they did.
Exactly. You are primed. Your brain is alert. And then, the moment the audio stops, you hit step 3, the ideas map.
This is distinct from a summary, right? It's not an essay.
Yes. A summary implies a linear structure. First, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. That is too much pressure. An ideas map is just you, with the pen, dumping everything you remember onto the page. You draw circles, you draw lines, connecting ideas. It can be messy.
And again, I'm guessing no translation.
No translation. You are bridging the gap between I just heard this input and I can produce this output. You're forcing your brain to retain and reproduce concepts immediately. You are taking the passive input and forcing it to become active output.
I can see how this burns energy. It's active recall. It's testing yourself immediately right after exposure.
It is. And if you want the gold star, if you really want to lock this in, you do step 4, the social layer.
Which is?
You find a partner or a tutor or a friend, and you discuss the episode using the map you just created.
That closes the loop. Input, processing, recall, and then social output.
And the whole thing takes, what, maybe 15 minutes? It is incredibly efficient. You have gone from having a vague idea about space to discussing the future of the industry in English in 15 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah.
It turns passive entertainment into an active workout. Okay, let's pivot to exercise number 2. This one involves video, but it's quieter. This is the silent video technique.
This is one of my favorites because it targets visual processing, which is, I think, often neglected in traditional language learning. We focus so much on text and audio, we forget about sight.
The source uses the context of fast fashion. So imagine a YouTube documentary about clothing factories, landfills, fashion shows, high visual density, lots of stuff to see.
Right. So step 1 is the silent watch. You find a video with strong imagery and you watch the first minute on mute.
Mute. But we're learning a language. Shouldn't we be hearing the pronunciation? Why turn the sound off?
Not yet. We're trying to break the auditory translation loop. We want to link sight to language.
Correctly. So step 2 is visual prompting.
You watch that silent minute, And as the images flash on the screen, your job is to name them in English, out loud or in your head.
So I see a pile of discarded jeans. I think waste. I see a sewing machine. I think factory. I see a model walking. I think runway.
Exactly. You are bypassing your native language. You aren't thinking native word for shirt and then translating it to shirt. You are seeing the object and forcing the label shirt to appear. It's almost like how a child learns language by pointing and naming. There's no translation for a baby. There is just the object and the word.
That makes so much sense. We're trying to get back to that primal connection between the world and the word.
Yeah.
But YouTube videos are fast. The editing is quick. Jump cuts, fast pans. That sounds stressful.
That is the challenge. If the images fly by too fast, your brain panics. You can't find the English word in time, so you revert to your native language because it's faster. So the source gives a crucial technical tip. Step 3 is adjust the speed.
Slow it down.
Drop it to 0.5x speed. Give your brain a fighting chance. You want to create what the source calls a natural amount of time to react. You want to stay in that zone of competence where you can actually find the English word.
You want to feel successful, not overwhelmed.
Exactly. Now, what happens if I see something, say a specific type of fabric or a loom or a specific tool, and I just don't know the word? I see it, but my mind is blank.
Right, the dreaded blank. This
Yeah.
is step 4, the gap fill. You do not stop the video. You don't panic. You just make a mental note. You wait until the minute is over. Then you go to look it up. But, and here's the nuance again, how you look it up is everything.
I assume we aren't opening Google Translate.
Banned. You are banned from Google Translate. Put it away. You look for the definition in English. If you saw a blue fabric, you search for types of blue fabric or denim definitions in Google Images or an English dictionary.
You keep the operating system in English.
Exactly. If you switch tabs to your native language dictionary, you break the spell. You want to learn the English word through an English explanation or an image? It builds a web of meaning rather than a simple linear translation bridge.
And then step 5 is the rewatch.
You watch that silent minute again, at normal speed this time. And when that loom appears on screen, your brain triggers the new word you just learned. You are cementing that pathway. Image, English word.
It is really about conditioning reflexes. It's Pavlovian in a way. So see object, say English word.
It is. It's training your brain to trust that it has the English labels for the visual world, that it doesn't need to consult another language first.
Okay, so we have done the podcast for auditory processing, that's listening. We have done the silent video for visual processing, that's seeing. Now we have to face the boss level. Exercise number 3.
The pressure of real conversation.
This is the scary one. The source acknowledges this openly. The nervousness, the anxiety, the sweaty palms, the feeling that everyone is judging you.
It's the emotional hurdle, but neurologically it is the most potent tool we have.
Why is that? Why is the pressure necessary? Why can't we just practice alone in our rooms forever?
Because real conversation removes the option of time. When you are doing the podcast method, you have a little buffer. You can pause, you can think. When you are in a live conversation, you have to think on your feet.
It's the adrenaline.
Adrenaline focuses the mind. The social pressure forces your brain to find the most direct path to communication. Translation is too slow for a fast-paced chat. So if you force yourself into these situations, your brain eventually gives up on translating because it's inefficient, and it starts grabbing the nearest English words it can find.
It forces the bypass. It realizes, I don't have time to go to the translation department. I just need to say something now.
It does. And the source makes a really important point about synergy here. This is most effective if you stack it on top of the other exercises.
So don't just go into a random conversation. Go into a conversation about the topic you just studied.
Exactly. If you just did the silent video on fast fashion, your brain is primed with words like sustainability, landfill, textiles, consumerism. If you then jump into a conversation about fashion, those words are super active. They are right on the surface, ready to go.
And when you can access them easily, you feel fluent. And when you feel fluent, your confidence goes up. And when your confidence goes up, your cortisol goes down.
And the virtuous cycle begins. Instead of panic leading to silence, confidence leads to flow.
The source mentions the Hey Lady community context here, noting that they have events every single day. And I think that frequency point comes back again. If you only have a terrifying conversation once a month, it stays terrifying.
It stays a trauma. It's this big, scary event on your calendar. But if you do it every day for a little while, it just becomes Next Tuesday. Desensitization is key. You stop fearing the pause, and you start inhabiting the language. You realize that making a mistake isn't the end of the world.
Okay, we have one last exercise, and this one is for the multitaskers. This is for the people who say, I don't have time to sit down and watch a video, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Exercise number 4, narrating your world.
The anywhere workout.
I love the flexibility of this. You can do it on a walk, on the bus, in the office, while you're cooking, but the source warns against doing it vaguely. You need parameters.
Right. You need a timer, say 5 minutes. You don't want to just drift in and out. You want a focused burst of narration.
And the task is literally to become the narrator of your own life.
You are pulling your brain away from your native language inner monologue, which is your default setting, and forcing an English overlay on reality.
So if I'm walking down the street inside my head, I'm saying, the sky is gray, that car is red. I am walking to the shop, the wind is cold.
Exactly. That is level 1. Simple observations, concrete nouns and verbs. It's simple, but it keeps the brain in English mode. But the source outlines a progression of difficulty here, because the car is red. Get boring pretty fast.
What's the next level?
Level 2 is actions and feelings. I am opening the door because I want to go inside. I am reaching for the apple because I am hungry. You are connecting actions to reasons.
Okay, that's a bit more complex. And level 3?
Level 3 is where the real brain training happens. This is time travel.
Time travel, that sounds intense.
It means shifting tenses. So you look at the street and you think, I am walking here today. But yesterday, it was raining, so I took the bus. I hope that tomorrow the sun will shine so I can walk again.
Oh, that is much harder. You are constructing a complex narrative timeline in real time. You are jumping from present continuous to past simple to future.
You are juggling grammar, vocabulary, and imagination simultaneously. It is a heavy cognitive lift. You're basically writing a novel in your head as you walk.
And the source actually issues a warning about this, doesn't it? It's not all sunshine and roses.
Yes. Emma notes that this activity is really exhausting.
I can imagine. It sounds mentally draining to constantly police your own thoughts and narrate your reality.
It burns a lot of glucose. Your brain will get tired. You might actually feel physically tired after 5 minutes of this. That is why the advice is, don't push it until it becomes hateful. Don't ruin the fun. Keep it to 5 minutes.
The analogy used here is flexibility training.
Right. You can't force yourself into the splits on day 1. You stretch a little bit further each day. If you push too hard, you snap something, you burn out. If you do just enough every day, eventually, narrating your life in English feels as natural as breathing.
So we have this incredible ecosystem of tools. We have the podcast method for structure and auditory training. We have the silent video for visual association. We have real conversation for pressure testing and fluency feeling. And we have narrating your world for daily integration.
It covers every base. Input, output, visual, auditory, social, solitary. It's a complete system.
So for the listeners sitting there right now, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by all these options, what is the final takeaway? How do they start? They might be thinking, I can't do all of this today.
They shouldn't do all of it today. It comes back to the outro of our source material. The summary of success is fairly simple, even if it's not easy. Consistency is so important.
The 30-minute rule. Back to the gym.
Set aside that dedicated amount of time each day. Treat it like a meeting with your boss. You wouldn't skip that. Don't skip this. Treat your language learning with respect.
And the source makes a practical recommendation about what to study during that time to avoid decision fatigue. This is a huge productivity hack.
Yes, stick to a series. Pick one podcast and listen to every episode. Pick one audiobook. Or if you are a member of a community like Hey Lady, stick to the monthly topic.
Why is that focus so important? Why not just browse?
Because willpower is a finite resource. You don't want to waste your energy deciding what to do. You want to sit down, open the book or the app, and immediately start the work. If you spend 20 minutes scrolling through Netflix trying to find the perfect movie to study, you have wasted your study time. You've burned your mental energy on choice, not on learning.
That is a valuable tip. Don't waste your willpower on the menu. Save it for the meal.
Exactly. Make the logistics boring so the learning can be exciting.
This has been, as always, illuminating. It really reframes the struggle of language learning from, I'm not smart enough to, I just need different drills.
It isn't about intelligence. It is about mechanics. It's about how you wire your brain.
Before we go, I want to leave our listener with a challenge. The source promises that thinking in English can become second nature. That is the ultimate promise. But it doesn't happen by magic.
It happens by flex. Treat your brain like a muscle.
Exactly. So here is my challenge to you listening right now. Which of these 4 exercises are you going to try today? Not tomorrow. Today. As soon as this deep dive ends, Are you going to do the podcast brainstorm? Are you going to watch a YouTube video on mute? Are you going to book a conversation? Or are you going to narrate your walk to the kitchen to get a glass of water?
Just pick one. Do it for 5 minutes.
Start the streak.
Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.